Ladies, have you ever been told that you're too cold, you're too distant, or that you're impossible to read? And did these things make no sense to you because that is not how you feel on the inside? Instead, I bet that you probably freeze, you pull back, or you feel disconnected even when you want to feel close to somebody else. This is the quiet side of the disorganized attachment style. It's a hidden pattern that can leave you feeling lonely and misunderstood, sometimes for your entire life. The quiet, disorganized attachment style is one of the most overlooked and misunderstood of the attachment styles because it's not chaotic or emotional outbursting like we tend to associate with a disorganized style, or sometimes called fearful avoidant. This style has been invisible in the past because we didn't have a name for it until I updated the field of attachment theory. It's a silent struggle between craving intimacy and also feeling paralyzed by it. Today, in this video, we're diving deep into why you might feel stuck, how your past has shaped these patterns, and what it's going to take to find freedom and connection in your life. So let's get right into it. Now, what is disorganized attachment style? You've heard me talk about the brain chemicals at length for a long time, many years. So let's go through this briefly together and then talk about what it means. Disorganized attachment style means that when you were a child, you experienced so much pain and disconnection and turbulence from a variety of sources that not only did you become probably anxious first and approval seeking, hoping that that would end other people's hurtful behaviors and abandonment. But when that didn't work, your brain then flipped a second time and said, not only am I not good enough, but I also need to stay away from other people because they are wildly unpredictable. Very rarely do people with this attachment style ever get angry or malicious and hateful toward other people. Instead, they are very nervous, scared, and afraid. Usually what happens is their fight or flight response is burned out of them. So instead, they go deeper and only have a fawn and freeze response. When they get into a social situation and there is any level of conflict whatsoever, even just perceived conflict, they immediately flip to fawn, get approval and make the other person feel good, or freeze, lock up, do nothing, and wait for the bad thing to end and at least minimize the damage. This is what happens with quiet disorganized attachment style in particular. Now, with loud disorganized style, fight or flight is overamped. So they are likely to burst into a fight and then also flee at the same time. And that's what makes the loud disorganized style so much more noticeable. It's also why we have only had the fearful avoidant loud style that we've talked about and haven't had this attachment style available to most of you who now resonate with it. I've seen some of your comments in the previous videos about quiet disorganized. A lot of you are saying this hits so hard and I've never had a phrasing for this before. This is quiet disorganized. It is both anxious and avoidant, but not chaotic on the outside, only on the inside. Now, what happens is they amp up wildly into their sympathetic nervous system, just like an avoidant person does. They don't come out of it, and so their oxytocin receptors are completely blocked. They also have very low GABA, as we've talked about, gamma-aminobutyric acid, so they can't regulate their cortisol, which fluctuates wildly up and down. Now, obviously, they're not going to be getting serotonin because they're not in their parasympathetic, that rest and digest mode. They usually have issues there, usually estrogen issues for the women out there experiencing this. Yes, men can have this style too. I'm primarily focusing on the women because this is largely who comes into my coaching practice with this style is women who've lived a lifetime with this. Their estrogen usually is down. A lot of times they have fertility challenges, maybe breastfeeding challenges, things like that. But they also usually often maybe have chronic pain. Sometimes they'll have chronic immune issues because, again, they're constantly activated in their sympathetic nervous system, and their cortisol is usually very high. Now, unlike avoidant people, these women usually, yes, are very self-sufficient and focused, but they don't develop the sense of pride that an avoidant person might. They don't develop a sense of, I can do this, I am good enough, because they have a core of anxious attachment from their hurtful, wounded childhood that was wildly chaotic. I'll be honest with you, sometimes these women come in with the most gritty and grueling childhood stories you could possibly imagine, and they'll tell you about them. And then they'll giggle a little nervously about sharing it and be like, hey, I'm sorry for sharing such an unpleasant story with you. And they're like, wow, I never realized how, kind of difficult I suppose some of this was. And they'll tell you the most brutal childhood story you can imagine, and then apologize for inconveniencing you, or have very low insight that it was even wild. And this is what's amazing is they'll say, well, everybody's parent was a cult leader, probably. Everyone's parent kind of does some of this. We all have our challenges. Mine just involved this, and like wild, chaotic, brutal story. And even me with my very extensive past of working with severe traumas, usually these are some of the most intense cases. And I'm like, do you realize that this is a little bit unusual? Well, no, I think everybody has their challenges and experiences. Really? You think everybody's father was a cult leader, or that everybody experienced this level of murder in their family, or this level of intense interpersonal violence, or this level of fear and manipulation and control, or abandonment, repeated abandonment, or abuse, physical abuse, or even unwanted sexual experiences that early and that consistently. Some of these stories are brutal, I'll be honest with you. And I'm ready to take them on. I don't want anyone to feel like you can't share that with me. But these are some of the most brutal origin stories you can imagine. And they dissociate from it. They think it's normal. This is why they never reach out to other people. They don't reach out for help. An avoidant person can power through in personal relationships and stay strong and know what to do. But a quiet, disorganized person stays out of most friendships. When someone comes up to them and says, hi, I want to be your friend, they go like this, and they just freeze. They get really stiff, and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do, so they freeze. And this is exactly why they look cold, aloof, disinterested, not wanting you. They look too good for you. Ice princess is the word used to describe them many times, unfortunately, when in fact, they're simply afraid and locked away on the inside. Some of the most beautiful, kind, sweet, loving, compassionate human beings being described as an ice princess who's too good for other people. Again, because of the freeze response that is perceived as aloofness, disinterest, and pride and arrogance even on the outside by other people. Okay? It's that freeze response. Disorganized attachment style feels a lot like driving with one foot on the gas and one on the brake. You're like pumping them simultaneously. You're wanting connection, but terribly afraid of it at the same time and not sure what to do. So this is why when these women get into intimate relationships with a partner, they don't know what to do, and they oversaturate the other partner with care and kindness and love and extensive giving. But unfortunately, the only people that get close enough to poke her when she's frozen are the people with very poor boundaries, who usually are very loud, disorganized, and manipulative, or have personality disorders. They get close and say, whoa, you're frozen stiff. I can use this. And then they take full advantage of her kindness. They take full advantage of her agreeableness, her accommodating nature. This is why so many of these women who don't have healthy boundaries, they just freeze as a response, end up paired with some of the most chaotic and hurtful partners and have serial monogamous behaviors. Serial monogamous behaviors when they take as much as they humanly can until they can't anymore and say, well, I can't anymore. And they apologize for it. And they don't break up with anger. They just sadly break up, and the other person explodes and erupts at them. And so they step back, and it's more confirmation that they can't open up to anyone because relationships are too mysterious and too hurtful for them. This recreates that pattern many times. And a lot of these women only come in to me when they're 50, 60, sometimes even 70, because they've done a lifetime of this. And now they're ready to say, maybe there's one person that I could build something with. A lot of these women are even disconnected from their own adult children because they don't know how to connect to them. They don't want to burden them with their love. So instead, they don't say anything and they don't pursue them. And then the children feel unwanted and unloved and are confused about why mom doesn't seem to react to them like that. Why mom doesn't pursue them. Mom is always responsive when I go to mom, but mom never comes to me. She must not want me. That's the tragedy of this, is that these women crave to give love almost more than any human on the planet. But they look like they have no love to give. So nobody ever opens up and seeks out from them, except the most hurtful people. Now, if this has been you so far, if you're listening to this, it's blowing your mind and it's overwhelming you, that is totally okay. I want you to understand, I'm going to share some things here in this video today about what you can do to take some additional steps to start repairing your relationships. The best news, and I'll just be blunt, is when women come into my coaching practice for this, usually they come in, they pick up a package of sessions, we move through them extremely fast because these women are very motivated to improve their life. And the hardest part is convincing them that people want to have a relationship with them, convincing them to go have those conversations, and then teaching them the exact specific phrases to say to initiate and deepen and maintain and grow relationships. They've never had the capacity or the opportunity to learn these phrases, so they've never known what to say. So again, they freeze and go silent without words because they don't want to say the wrong words and hurt something. So teaching the skills, encouraging them to believe that people actually want them, and then making them go have the conversations. Once they do, it is a massive, massive transformation very quickly as they connect with friends, adult children, maybe a partner, maybe anybody in their life that they have never actually opened up to. And the other people in their life experience such profound joy that it returns to them as well. They experience so much abundance and joy. I just got an amazing email from one of these women today. I'm not going to say anything about you, but you know who you are, who is sharing with me an update about their adult children, about how things have grown and how content she is right now in her life. Still a couple things she's working on learning, and she probably always will be. I think all of us are always learning, but those updates, man, they make my month. So thank you for sharing that. I love that update. Please keep going and please keep doing what you're doing. Now, why in particular do quiet, disorganized women struggle with boundaries in their personal relationships? Some of them struggle with boundaries at work as well. They struggle to say no to a boss or to push back on people or a pushy client. A lot of women, they run their own businesses or they're high-level execs in companies. A lot of them are in marketing. They go into very high-pressure fields. They can perform like nobody else, and people are astounded at their skills. But then when it comes time for the company parties, they don't show up, or they stand in the corner silently and no one talks to them, or they don't know how to talk to other people. They don't know how to socialize. So they look distant and aloof. They look like the cold MVP of the team who's too good to be part of the team. Oftentimes is what it looks like. Or at the bare minimum, nobody gets you. And so you don't form the deep, intimate work relationships professionally that other people might. And I don't mean inappropriate ones. I mean even just having deep, connected understanding where you work together on multiple projects. It's usually hard to build that. Now, the root cause of having such poor boundaries is that they have a deep fear of being hurt again. They're so used to getting hurt and hurt and hurt and hurt and hurt. Or, and here's a big one, they're afraid they're going to be a bad person who hurts other people. Most quiet, disorganized people and ladies, if I asked them to walk across the grass, they would be so careful not to step on the dandelions because, well, those are beautiful flowers and I don't want to hurt those flowers. Most of these women are the ones who will walk completely around an entire grassed area just so they don't hurt the grass blades. It's that level of compassion. I would rather deeply, deeply inconvenience myself than leave any sort of painful footprint in any other creature on the earth. This is usually what they do, okay? It is compassion and empathy taken to an absolute extreme degree. And you know what? I respect that. I respect that dedication to the care for others. However, the boundary setting does not happen inward from other people. They have intense, rigid boundaries about I'm never allowed to harm someone else or even breathe on them. But people can do pretty much whatever they want and inconvenience me. If someone broke into her house and shot her, and she accidentally got a splatter of blood on their shoe, she would apologize and probably die wiping the blood off his shoe. And I'm saying this because a lot of you ladies tell me that. I've said that in a previous video, and probably 5 of you emailed me to say that one story about the shoe, that's me. It's an extreme need to caretake others because you don't believe that you deserve any caretaking. Not even from yourself. That blurred sense of self makes it hard to know what you even need. Most of these women struggle to even identify a single need or where to draw a line. In fact, they can't even identify the need to feel safe, so they don't even expect that from other people. Someone can make you feel unsafe and you're like, well, that's their choice. I can't really stop them. I mean, they're sitting on my sofa. I can't stop them from waving a sword on my sofa. I'm not rude. Now, this manifests in relationships. Again, they prioritize their partner's needs over their own, but that's such an understatement. Their partner's needs are taken as almost religious gospel, and their own needs don't exist. So they become an engine of service, and they are nervous and petrified the entire time that they're doing something wrong, but they can't really ask. So they constantly check in. Is this good? Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? But there's never conversation about what you need. Never, 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 never. In fact, if someone asks them what they need, they freeze. They go to search for that file on their computer. It's not found. And then they freeze and they panic and they have an inward silent panic struggle and can't get the words out. And the other person's like, speak words. And she can't because she doesn't even know what to say. That file's gone. And she's frozen from saying a fear of saying the wrong thing. Now, again, and I want to make this very clear, what distinguishes these women from purely anxious women is that outer context of avoidance, a high level of self-sufficiency, and a high, massively high work ethic. Not that anxiously attached women don't have a work ethic, but the avoidant work ethic of 120 hours a week, that sounds pretty reasonable. Sure, you can pay me a third of the normal salary for 120 hours a week. Okay, why not? I probably deserve that, right? This is why these women tend to rise to managerial positions or start their own companies and thrive because they are so overly responsible, but they may also leave and work for themselves to do everything themselves and not have a boss or rely on a team because they can't ask for help. So they start that solopreneur journey. And it's really hard for them even to get staff or to trust their staff. They might accidentally be that sweet, kind, but also micromanaging person that people come in and see the CEO is scrubbing the toilets herself and hasn't said anything to anybody about it. Why are you scrubbing the toilets at 3 a.m. on a Sunday? Well, if I don't do it, no one else will. Well, you could get someone to do it. Well, no one's going to want to come in at 3 a.m. That's awful. Who would do that? So let's break the ice princess stereotype, okay? I want to shatter this right now. So any ladies out there that this is resonating, but also anybody who loves a woman like this or is friends with a woman like this, any adult children of women like this, because the sad truth is a lot of children will grow up with anxious attachment to try to please a mom like this. She looks avoidant. So it's many of the same features of growing up with an avoidant mother, but without maybe some of the hurt, maybe a little bit. Instead, if you're listening to this, and this is somebody you know, here's what you need to know about why she's not an ice princess. Instead, that calm, distant exterior hides extreme emotional sensitivity. They freeze and look carefully disinterested. That's a mask because they're really frozen solid on the inside. They can't move or speak or barely breathe. This sensitivity leads to exceptional empathy once trust is established and they care for you, but now it's an overabundance of empathy where you are the only thing that matters and they don't. They are so resilient and they can navigate such difficult experiences and challenges. If you have a horrible trauma experience, you want this woman by your side because during chaos, she knows what to do. She will grab you and drag you out of the burning building. During chaos, she is very resilient. Nothing gets her down. She could be kidnapped and taken to a jungle and held there at ransom for 6 months, and then they let her go and she walks out of the jungle, dusts off her hands and says, well, that was quite an ordeal. I guess I'd better go get a job. Massively resilient. Also, a lot of that resilience, though, comes from complete dissociation from her own emotions and needs. All she knows is survival. Their introspection makes them very thoughtful and very intentional in relationships. These women examine every word they say for 15, I don't want to say years, but a long time before each word comes out of their mouth. They are very thoughtful and intentional, and that leads to that analysis paralysis. Their loyalty is second to none on this planet. You will not find a quiet, disorganized woman who cheats. I will lay bets on that right now. You will not find a quiet, disorganized woman who cheats, because that's what bad people do. She won't say that. She'll say, well, that's what people do when they don't have proper morals. But I'm not judging anybody. People who do that are not bad. But that would, if I did that, it would mean I have absolutely no morals or kindness whatsoever. And I would be an absolute awful human being. I could not live with myself. But again, no judgment on people who do. People cheat on her all the time, and she's not even hardly mad at it. She's just like, well, that was a very unpleasant choice. Oh dear, you appear to have cheated on me again. How sad. Would you like a refreshing beverage while you think about it? Right? Like that's the process. But you will not find one of these women who cheat, because it's not logical to do that. Why not just break up if that's the case? I'm not good enough for this relationship anyway. It's my job to caretake you. Why would I even give in to that? Again, they don't have needs. So they don't have needs that drive them to cheat. They are so dissociated from those things that even the idea of doing something for their own pleasure is so opposite for them. They can't even conceive of it. So the idea of cheating is the opposite of anything that they could possibly allow themselves to do ever. That would end their world. Now, when they feel secure, I will say this, the women who go through this program and fix it and they become fully secure, their loyalty, the depth of connection, the urgency to catch up on a lifetime of missed connections and love, their empathy for other people, coupled with open communication about that, their growing understanding of emotional needs and then sharing that with other people and receiving positive feedback. Again, their built-in resilience and adaptability makes them some of the strongest human beings on the planet, but only once they've stopped dissociating, started properly bonding and connecting, and built healthy boundaries. So that at least when someone breaks into their house, they can politely say, no, thank you, while they lift a gun and fire back, right? They at least have healthy boundaries, even as they're polite and calm while administering those boundaries. So you've listened to a lot of this. You probably are like, okay, Adam, I'm ready. Tell me what to do. Okay, here is how to thrive as a quiet, disorganized woman, okay? Number one, understand your freeze response. That freeze response is your sympathetic nervous system activating pretty much all the time, your fight or flight gone. So we actually need to program the fight or flight back in a little bit, just a little bit. Not anger. We need to program a little bit of the pushback in, especially around boundaries and goals and principles. Your ethics. Quiet, disorganized women have more ethics than almost anybody else on the planet, but they don't keep to them when they are pressured by other people. They are willing to collapse their goals and ethics often for other people if someone says, well, that hurts me that you won't do this. It's not that she has no morals. It's that her desire and craving to caretake others goes beyond anything else inside of herself. She'll collapse pretty much any of her goals down for the safety and well-being of someone else. Well, this will set me back 10 years on my life goals, but if you need this one small thing to have convenience for the next 10 minutes, who am I to argue? When she learns to have a healthy boundary, and that fight should kick on just a little bit of, I'm sorry, I can't do that because of this goal and this principle. Even if that would make my daughter really upset because I'd be violating this principle and this goal, and I can't do that for you or for me or for her sake. All of us need to make sure that we push back on this. So what can we do to help you instead? Even having kind, polite boundaries like that. I suggest practicing mindfulness and grounding techniques first to help you stay present when you start to feel overwhelmed. A lot of these quiet, disorganized women, they don't know how to manage the anxiety inside their body, so they dissociate from their own stress state. So when you ask them about their stress levels, they're like, well, like one or two. Have you ever gone to get a massage? Yeah, they said every single muscle in my body was locked so rigidly tight, they were surprised I could even walk or sleep at night. Do you sleep at night? Well, like the average 4 hours a night. Oh, okay. How's your immune system? I'm often getting very sick, and I have some chronic issues that they have told me is probably from that. And I have some chronic pain that they've told me is from locked up muscles. Okay. These are stress responses in your body. Really? A lot of quiet, disorganized women have no idea about how stressed out their body is. So, a lot of somatic experiencing therapy, somatic body techniques, progressive muscle relaxation, doing more physical work on identifying and recognizing even what symptoms of physical anxiety are. Very, very helpful. You might consider opening ChatGPT and saying, ChatGPT, assume that I am a woman of X age and that I've maybe had a lifelong stress level that I wasn't aware of. Well, give me 20 physical symptoms of anxiety that I might not have recognized. And it will, boom, list a lot of those out. There's your ChatGPT prompt right there. The biggest thing, the absolute biggest transformation for quiet, disorganized women inside my coaching practice is this: learning what other people actually want from you. Usually what we do is go through the 4 levels of trust that helps other people feel safe and predictable in your presence. Unfortunately, a lot of the times you have made people feel unsafe and unpredictable in your presence because they don't know what your goals are, what your principles are, what you want from them. So they can't rest when they're around you. So they feel concerned and confused. They may over time understand that you have good ethics, but they don't really understand you and you're not open with them because you don't think they want you to be. So then they pull back. And even those who do manage to get calm in your presence, maybe they're very secure, they think you don't want them, so you seem disinterested. What they want from you is calm predictability through principles and goals that you share with them, and then to know that you're interested in them, usually by expressing curiosity and asking more personal questions. Now, these personal questions feel dreadfully intrusive to most disorganized women, and you hear me using different language in this video than typically. Dreadfully intrusive. These women, very intelligent, very articulate, very thoughtful, and very held back by their own perceptions. Nobody wants that from me. Nobody has ever wanted that from me. Probably because when you were in your childhood, you tried to share your emotions or feelings or needs with somebody and you were punished so thoroughly that you don't even remember it because you've dissociated from that. And you vowed never, ever to do it again. Not only that people don't want it, but that they will actively punish you for it. Sometimes by abandoning you, sometimes by screaming at you. Okay? What healthy, secure people want from you. It is so crucial. You need to be sharing more context about your beliefs, your principles and ethics. I can hear you cringing already. That's okay. And your long-term goals. You need to be helping yourself be seen and help people know you. And then you need to know them in return and ask questions about them in return and share and connect in a polite, loving kind of way over a lunch, over a dinner, over some drinks, over coffee, sharing and connecting and being understood mutually with other people. This is what they crave from you because then they understand you and feel safe around you. Then they can predict you and then they want to get to know more about you. The tragedy is that so many quiet, disorganized women go 50 years without ever being understood. And once they are, everybody craves so much more and says, why did you wait so long? You are one of the best people I've ever met. Being more open is very difficult because it feels like a threat and a danger, and you'll be fighting your own sympathetic nervous system, which is why we have to start first with the physical regulation, the physical emotional regulation component. Then as you open up and share and talk with other people, either on dates or with people that you know and ask questions, you can be more open and share more context. And then you can ask them, is this okay? Do you want this kind of a relationship? And that's the next piece right here, is going to somebody, and here's some specific phrasing. I'm realizing more and more that I probably have looked disinterested for most of the time you've known me. I want you to know that I am interested. It's just that I tend to freeze because I don't want to say something that's hurtful or bother you. But if it's okay with you, I would like a conversation where we open up and share a little bit more together. Is that something you'd be interested in? And if so, is it okay if I do that with you? A lot of permission asking happens at the beginning, and that's okay as long as you're doing it with trustworthy people. And again, we can go through a process of learning trust if you need to, but building that conversation with other people, they'll say, I would love that. I would love to have that with you. I had no idea that you were freezing up on the inside. I just thought you were not interested. And then she'll freeze. And then she'll remember, oh, wait, I'm supposed to say something. And she'll say, no, I am interested. I just don't know what to do. And learning to be a little more open and honest like that with the right people is what starts fixing it. And setting those boundaries like we talked about earlier, emphasizing starting small here with boundaries. I'm emphasizing this to you. Small, low stakes situations to build confidence with people. Hey, you know what? I don't really love that restaurant. Is that okay if we switch to a different one? Little tiny pieces like that. I recommend, and a lot of quiet, disorganized women need to do this, script some responses for difficult conversations to reduce the anxiety. Send small text messages, write them, edit them again, have someone look at them maybe. I get these all the time from my coaching clients. Adam, I'm going to send a text to so-and-so. Can you look over this for me? Looks great. Or here's a quick change I'd make. Please go ahead and send it this way. Okay, I'm really scared. And then they send it, and then I get an update 6 hours later. It was so great. This was a wonderful conversation. Sometimes the written, I'm usually not an advocate for written communication, but with quiet, disorganized women, starting that way so they can practice and make a little bit of editing first, sometimes very helpful because that can give them the proper response from the other person with a carefully scripted experience. Then they can have less scripted experiences as they go. And then, and this is big, celebrating small wins. Like when you assert yourself or make a decision that prioritizes your needs, enjoy that. Share it with somebody. Maybe have somebody, maybe me or a friend, a priest or a pastor, a child, maybe an adult child you're working with. Share this with somebody. Hey, today I did this and it felt really interesting. It felt good. Follow up and process that. A lot of quiet, disorganized women don't realize that humans, but also especially women, process their emotions out loud and learn how they feel as they're processing them. This is a very common experience for a lot of women, but if you're quiet, disorganized, you've probably never had this experience ever, and this is sounding completely foreign to you right now. So as you share your experience and process it with somebody, it actually goes and filters into your logical left brain better if it was emotional. And then you say, oh, that's how I felt about that. Oh, that feels right. Oh, wait a minute. I just realized something about that. And you'll process it and it will make a lot more sense. Now, if this is difficult, if this sounds fearful, if you don't know the right people to open up to, if you need a lot more phrasing and a lot more help, please don't be shy. You are welcome to contact me through my website, adamlanesmith.com. You are welcome to drop a comment below. Best thing is to email me, support@adamlanesmith.com. Hey, Adam, I saw that quiet, disorganized woman video. I would love a little bit of personal help on this, either with you, Adam, or with Alyssa, or with Jeremy. All of us are trained to work with quiet, disorganized women in very direct, solution-focused patterns to help you get in there, improve things quickly, and get exactly what you're looking for, even if you maybe don't know what you're looking for just yet. Now, one more thing that I want to play here and talk about, and I mean this from the depths of my heart, is that when quiet, disorganized women really learn about these things and then engage better in their relationships, they become some of the best friends, the best mothers, the best wives on the planet. They have a death before dishonor mentality that means they would die before cheating on somebody. They are so attentive and thoughtful and caring for somebody. If you tell them they did something wrong, their initial response is to say, okay, do you want me to cut off my pinky Yakuza style? Just tell me how much of the pinky you want me to cut off and I will atone for my sins. There's no defensiveness. It is, okay, tell me what to do. What do I need to do to make this right? It is an instant connection, and then it can last for a lifetime. I want to say it this way. When a quiet, disorganized woman heals her attachment and can build proper boundaries and be open and secure and connected, and then very honest and direct, she can then go heal so many other human beings. Because most of the people who are wounded in this world need love, they need consistency, and they need stability. Avoidant men in particular, respond to quiet, disorganized women with a little bit of security like you wouldn't believe. You are everything they have ever wanted in a partner in their entire life, and it makes an avoidant man fall absolute head over heels in a way that he can't even comprehend. Okay, secure people see that once you build some security and you're remade secure, and they love what you're doing, and they want to spend all their time with you. In a good way, not an overwhelming way. Your children, if they grew up with more of an avoidant seeming mom, they drink up the attention and the context and the truth and the love, and the healing is abundant and quick, generally speaking. I've seen adult children turn around super fast from difficult lives into flourishing lives just because they finally understand that mom truly adores them and that she has never meant to stay distant all these years. So, quiet, disorganized women out there, you can live a life that is so fulfilling to you. You can also do so much good for other people. I know you've done a lot of good for other people most of your life. That probably maybe isn't your primary driver right now because you've put in your tours of duty. But you can do so much good for yourself and so much fulfillment and also good for other people at the same time. So the life you've been wanting to live is right on the other side of some very, very specific conversations, specific phrasings, desensitizing yourself to that fear and freeze response, and then learning what to say and how to connect, and then just doing it continuously for a few months so that it feels real. Here's what I'd love. If this might be you, pop onto my website, adamlanesmith.com. I have a free attachment styles assessment on there, okay? Free. Better understanding your attachment style will help to see if this is really you. Take the quiz, and then you're going to be directed to a roadmap of different resources that are best for you specifically. You're probably going to get low disorganized, low severity, or high disorganized severity. You're going to get some different outcomes, but it will be there, and then it will show you how you can start working on some of this. You'll be able to pick the perfect resource for you based on investment, your needs, and your desired outcomes. If you aren't sure what those are exactly, again, remember that I have private coaching and I have a repair program. I have myself and my certified coaches. You can come in. We are happy to help you work through your attachment patterns and to begin thriving in your relationships. Now, I would love to hear from you, and please don't freeze when I ask this because I know visibility is frightening sometimes. Has any of you out there ever felt misunderstood or labeled as cold when you were simply overwhelmed? Did this video resonate with you? Does this sound like your attachment style? Please let me know in a comment. I would love to hear from you. And if that comment section is loaded with people saying, this is me, and I finally understand, then all of us will know that we're not alone. And that, honestly, I think is the best outcome that we can get from this video. Let me know what I can do to help you. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. If this has been helpful, please drop that comment below. Also like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. You're welcome to come to some of my live streams. I would love to talk with you there and answer questions. But remember, if you want to get in touch, my website, adamlanesmith.com, is the best resource. That'll be linked down below in the description. I'm here to help, and I'll talk to you in the comments.